Greetings, folks. Welcome back to the Jason Damico Show, and thank you for the new subscribers on YouTube. And if you guys are on Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, Simplecast, make sure to subscribe there as well. Spread the word. Really appreciate everybody listening and tuning in. We've had a lot of great guests on the show, and we've got another great one on this episode. We've kind of been DM pen pals on Instagram for a little bit. She's been doing a lot of great work, fellow entrepreneur, actress and model as well. She graduated from Penn State with a broadcast journalism degree and also a fellow gym rat. She's also into sales and real estate. Very, very diverse scope of endeavors. Please welcome to the show my new good friend, Miss Sarah Weber.
It's so interesting, like when you say it all together like that, I'm like, wow, I guess I do all of those things. Yeah. It's never, no day is ever the same, that's for sure.
When you have folks on that are like 50 plus and their resume is just like so long, because we've had some really incredible talent on the show.
Oh yeah.
They'll send me their bios and I'll read them, because it's amazing. And it's like minute and a half goes by and they're like, wow, that sounds pretty good,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's just like, oh my gosh, I guess I am into all those things. That's what keeps life interesting though.
I think we're kind of cut from the same cloth. Like I get bored very easily,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like an ADHD thing. It's just like, I just get bored. I have to have multiple things.
Like you need the mix up. And I think that's like, I know we're both in like acting and all that kind of stuff. And when I was doing that full time, like that's what I loved. Every single day was different, or I'd work like, 15 days straight, and then I'd have 3 days off. And then like this day you have filming, and the next day you have a photo shoot, and then you're off, and then you have an audition. And like, it's just exciting.
It's kind of ridiculous how much money you can make in like, it's the right job for like 6 or 12 hours.
Right. And then on the other hand, like, I mean, I'm sure you've been there too. Like I've done I haven't in a while, but I used to do a lot of stuff for free.
Yep.
Get your name out there, get the networking going. I live it takes me about 3.5 hours to get to New York City. And I would, so it's a 7-hour round trip. I'd go in for like a 10-minute audition.
Yep.
Not get it.
Well, I spent many years in upstate New York, and I was getting my business degree online at the time. So I would take the train down. That's crazy. Like you almost had twice the amount of commute as I did, because I think it was like an hour and a half down, do the audition, hour and a half back. It was like 3-4 hour round trip.
It takes up your whole day. Where in upstate New York were you?
Orange County.
Okay. My mom from the Glens Falls area. I don't know if you know where that is.
Is that on the east or west side of the Hudson?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you know where Beacon is?
No. Geography is not my thing. There's actually been, there were 2 different instances when I went to the wrong state for a filming. Yeah. But I'm always so timely and like anxious to be like early and everything that not both times. One time I still made it on time to set. So that's how early I was going to be. The other time I totally missed it.
That's commendable.
Yeah, it was definitely some stressful days, but yeah, geography, not my thing.
This business is very strange. There's a lot of, you'll do things for a ridiculous amount of money. You'll do things for no money. You'll do things and lose money, but it really shows like how much you love it.
Well, exactly. And that's one of the things I find is like so inspiring with people that are in the acting and like the modeling industry, is that like everyone just loves it. Like everyone just loves being there, and everyone like supports each other. And I feel like there's a lot less competition than in a lot of other industries, in the sense that like everyone is rooting for each other. Like when I see like some of my friends get like different roles or this or that, like I'm just like, yes, like good job.
Yeah.
I know how hard it is and how like much crap they've probably been through just to get to that.
For sure. It's I mean, and it's funny because when you're younger, everybody tells you like this bit, like it's just the eye rolling, and it's like this business you know, and these veterans that are in it and they've been very successful, and they're like, you got to really love it. They
Yeah.
all say that, like, whenever you hear them at panels, whenever you hear them, you know, when you're in your teen years and you're taking courses, taking classes, whatever,
Right.
sitting in on audition classes, and you know, you've got to love it. You've got to love it. And then once the mid-20s roll around, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
things get real quick, and it's like, yeah, you really got to love it to be in it.
Well, I was when I was going to Penn State. So Penn State's about 5 to 5.5 hours away from New York.
Wow.
And I was still doing stuff then. So like my friends were out, and like I, you know, did my fair share of partying and all the traditional college stuff. But I mean, I was taking weekends and going to New York, taking like 4 methods of transportation because I didn't have a car. Like I'd hop on the bus and then get on the train and get on another train, get on the subway in New York, get on the ferry to go to Staten Island, like all kinds of stuff just to try to put your name out there and get the networking going. And it was crazy. My dad always said if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we've got a lot in common.
Yeah. I know.
I actually remember like times where, and you probably did the same thing, like just study. I mean, you would study for like 2-3 hours on the train because you got to get the homework done. And I just remember studying, like reading, and my coursework, I did it online. So it was like 7-week courses. It wasn't it was like twice as fast because it was like this weird block schedule. And you had to just breathe. You had to just jet through 500, 600 page textbooks in 6 weeks. So on one hand, it was great because it gave me all that time to read and highlight and study. But it was such a grind.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I look at like what I was doing in college now, and I'm like, what? I definitely wasn't sleeping then.
No. And to add insult to injury, because that was like when I was 19, 20, 21, I was trying to put on some muscle. So the only time I could really hit the gym was like after dinner. So it was like 9, and luckily Gold's up in New York was open until midnight. So I could get in there at like 9 and go until about 11.
Oh my God. I could never do that.
And that was my routine for like 2 or 3 years.
Wow. See, I'm the opposite, where I wake up. I mean, obviously right now we're in weird times, but on a normal times, I get up at 4:15 and I'm at the gym by 5 a.m. So I'm like the opposite end of the spectrum.
Damn.
Yeah, I'd be waking up and like, you know, you're laying there, it's dark out, and I'm like, man, I'm supposed to be deadlifting an hour from now. I'm like, it doesn't even sound like a thing.
I can't, like, I don't know what it is. It must be the rock and roll lifestyle to a certain degree. I mean, I'm not really a partier, but I'm so used to being up until 2, 3 in the morning with the gigs, with the band. So it's like, it's hard to, I've tried doing the workouts in the morning and it just doesn't work.
Yeah,
I can maybe do like,
I've tried it at night, and like, I cannot do it. Like when I'm done for the day, like I am done.
That's crazy. Yeah. Like I'm not even awake until about, I feel like 5 p.m. I'm up.
Gosh,
I'm up at 9.
Bedtime.
Yeah, no, I'm up at like 9 in the morning and doing stuff and doing all the business side of things. Like I like doing mind stuff more early. And then I don't know, like
so that's when you're the most creative is in the morning, because it's like a whole scientific thing. But basically like your willpower and your drive and your ambition starts to like diminish as you go through your day. And so that's why a lot of people will say like get the most important things done in the morning and let your creative juices flow like in the morning before it starts to kind of go away.
I'm the exact opposite.
Really? Oh my God. So cool. Like your mind goes away, like wired, like at night.
Yeah. Like it's crazy. No, I have to do mind numbing things in the morning because it literally takes me like 2 or 3 hours to actually be
awake.
Yeah. But I still have to get like productive things done. So I'll do all the things I don't like doing in the morning, which are like,
interesting.
Yeah, like, yeah, you know, just the basic, like editing everything, emails, all that
Just the
all
stuff
that
that
stuff.
you can kind of just like mundanely like go
Yes.
through and like, yeah.
Yes. What
Yeah.
gets me up in the morning is eggs and sausage and coffee.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
my motivation.
See, I'm an intermittent faster, so I typically don't even like I haven't even eaten yet today. What's it, 3:15? Yeah. So
It
the
works.
yeah,
I've done spouts of it and it was phenomenal
I
doing
love
that, like
it.
that 16-hour, shutdown.
Yeah, it's something I started doing back in August. So what's that like? I mean, yeah, I guess we're coming up on a year pretty soon in a few months, but
It
um,
works.
it's amazing. And honestly, like I feel so much better. I feel like I feel less restrictive to like my actual diet and like what I'm eating. And I feel like I'm getting way better results. Like it's easy.
What's your goal with it? Is it just to kind of like maintain, or are you trying to cut?
So I've been in fitness and nutrition and all that for about 8 or 9 years now. I was always an athlete before that. I was a competitive gymnast and like I ran track, was a big pole vaulter in high school and all that kind of stuff. But basically, like as far as nutrition goes, I'm always trying to build muscle and get rid of fat at the same time, which is a super slow process.
Fine
Uh,
line with the calories. Very,
right,
very fine
right.
line.
So it's kind
I
of
can't walk. It's either like bulk or trim.
yeah, and then exactly. And I always am like right, and I'm always slowly gaining muscle and losing fat. But I'd rather do that than have like the bulking seasons
Right.
and this and that. Like I don't dig doing that, and it works for me. But I definitely wouldn't recommend it for everyone because like I'm essentially I always have the same goal. Like my goals are never really changing. And I feel like a lot of people need that growth and stimulation to change their goals often. But I just don't. Like I know what I want. I know what I'm working towards. I have my groove and like I'm cool there.
Yeah, I feel like in the last couple of years I've titrated down and it's more um well quite honestly, because when I was in bulking season, when I was just going nuts, squatting twice a week, really trying to build up. Um on camera it just doesn't look as good,
Right.
especially
Right.
in this business. It's like there's a threshold and I know where I really sit well at, and that's around 160. And
Mm-hmm.
anything really above like 165, because there were times where I was like up to 175, 180, and it was just
It's
no.
just like, yeah, you can like, and it makes you feel like crappy about yourself. And it's just kind of like, yeah, and you're right, being in the business and like modeling and acting and everything like that, like you just kind of always have to be like more lean and more cut. And like, I don't know, I feel better being that way anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I know when I've put on like literally, if I put on like 2 or 3 pounds of fat, like I know. Just by the way my clothes fit, I don't even weigh myself anymore. But like I'm just like, oh, okay, like quarantine. Yeah. I'm like, all right, belly, it's time to go away. I can see the 2 pounds that you put on.
And again, that fine line there, it's amazing to me where it depends on the calories and where you're sitting with caloric intake and the weight, because just having that extra 2 to 3 pounds on you, I mean, you're picking stuff up so much more. If you're
Right.
deadlifting, like, oh yeah, it's like no joke. And then you drop a couple of pounds, and all of a sudden that PR is like,
Weak. You're weak and you're just like, I can't lift anything.
it's so strange.
Yeah, and then on top of that, something I'm a huge researcher. Like if I have a question about something, like I just dive in and like I'll
Yeah.
just down the rabbit hole. And something I was researching last week was actually pertaining to like women and like their menstrual cycles and how that affects us a lot more than like we really know. And like basically when you're in your like one part of the cycle where you can like lift like crazy, and then you're in other parts of your cycle where you can't because of your hormones and all of that. And no one really talks about it, but I'm like, it's so interesting because I feel that all the time. Like some days, like I can deadlift, like I'm not a big squatter because I have some back issues, but like I can deadlift or hip thrust like a huge weight. And then like the next day I'm like at half the weight and I'm like, I'm struggling. What the hell? And it's interesting. I just started learning about it.
Well, are you, so I mean, if you're doing like that 2 days in a row, that's crazy.
Well, well, that's what I mean. Exactly. And it's just like, you have to like, figure out now where you're at in your menstrual cycle. And I'm like, but some of it's too much for me. Like sometimes I'm just like, nah, I don't need to know about that. Like I'm good. It gets in my head and I'm just like, nah.
Isn't it crazy how you'll show up dead tired and you just lift the stuff up like it's nothing?
Yeah.
What is that? I don't understand what that. And then you go in and
out.
you go in and you're jacked and you can't lift shit. I don't understand how that works.
I feel like there are so many factors, and like it's so much inconsistency, and I feel like a lot of people that are like newer in the gym or on their fitness journey or whatever, like get discouraged by that, whereas like people with like you and I that have been in it for years, like we just understand that it's not this like upwards scale. It's like funky and you kind of go up.
I remember I was stuck at like, I don't know what it took me almost a year and a half, 2 years to be able to really hit like sets of 10 with 225 on the bench. Took forever. It's like, what in the world? And then once you finally get it, it's like, oh, okay.
Then you can start to like climb a little bit faster, and then you hit that point again where you can't like get past it. Yeah. It's cool though. Like it's lifting is awesome. Like I wish like I don't understand. Like I was talking with my roommate the other day because he's a big lifter too, and we're just like, how do people not work out? Like I would be lost. I would be so lost if I didn't train. And mentally, like it's so great for your mental health, and that's why I do it. Like when it's 4:15 in the morning and I'm like, nah, I'm not going. It's kind of like I know I will feel better all day long if I just go. And like that's my motivation, is that like I know from trial and error I'm way more awake and alert and productive all day long and happier if I just get up and go.
I think, and I've noticed my mood has been a little over the last couple of months. I didn't realize it was like, oh, wait a minute. You're not like exploding your body to bits.
Right.
And that really does kick those endorphins.
Right. And then you just like ride that high like all day long. And even not being able to go to the gym right now, like I have weights at home that go up to 50 pounds. I've got bands and I've got a Bosu ball and a yoga ball and all that, but like
it's not the same.
It's just not like it sucks.
Like,
it sucks. Like I try to have a positive attitude about it, and for the most part I'll get a decent workout in, but there are some days like since quarantine started, because I've been home now, this will be my 8th week home, I'm just like, I'm done. I just like stop my workout and I'm just like, I'm just done. And I'm not usually like that, but like there's a mental balance between, you know, living a healthy lifestyle. And I think that's a huge thing that people miss out on. And quite honestly, like I missed out on it for years. It took me probably until like 2 years ago to start realizing like, oh, it's about my mental health too, not just like the appearance, the physical appearance of, you know, your body.
Right. Well, let's get into your beginning stages, so to speak, which you've got a lot of things going on here, but just curious how you got into modeling, acting, and then we can talk a little bit about Penn State, journalism degree, and then moving forward from there.
Yeah, so as far as acting and modeling goes, so never really interested me, never anything I like thought about. And then when I was 15, sophomore year in high school, I was actually going to Japan as a student ambassador. And I was getting ready for that trip and all this and that. And then basically my parents like told me like they couldn't afford it. And so I was pretty bummed. And then I happened to get this letter in the mail from a pageant, and someone had anonymously recommended me to compete in this pageant that was actually in Harrisburg at the Crowne Plaza. And that's about an hour and a half from where my parents live, which is actually where I'm at right now, home visiting for Mother's Day. And so I'm looking at this letter and I'm like, I can't go to Japan. You know, we can't afford it. And I said, Mom and Dad, like, can we do this? Like maybe. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. So I was like, all right, like, what's this all about? I'll just go do a pageant. Sure. And little did I know that was the beginning of like how I see every opportunity. Like opportunities present itself and I'm just like, all right, yeah, I'll try to do this. Why not? Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. But so I went to the pageant, I competed. It was fun, but like I didn't really get anything out of it. And then the next year I went back and I competed again. And there were about 250 girls in my, I don't know, section. I don't know what right word it is. But I got the top 20 in that, which was pretty cool. And like all these girls, like when you hear about pageant girls and like they are really like that.
Oh yeah.
They train all year round. Like it's insane. And I like my mom calls herself, like we call her my momager, because her and I are both just like, what the hell? Like these people are weird. And like we're just kind of like, you know, wing things a lot of the time. And at that time I got scouted by a modeling agency in Philadelphia, and I started going to modeling and acting classes, and I did those, and that's what I was going back and forth doing when I was at Penn State. And from there, I went to a week-long competition in New York City called International Models and Talent Association. And that's kind of actually where it ties in with starting my fitness journey, because I was a freshman in college, gained the nice freshman 20, not 15. And yeah, it was, I'm only 5'2", so 15 pounds is, you can see it. And I went back to my agent, and we were supposed to go to this week-long competition in New York. And I think it was like, we were like 2 or 3 months out. And she looked at me, I was 18 years old, and she looks at me and she's like, stand up, look at your hips and this and that, and just ripping into me for the weight I gained.
Oh.
And it was tough. It was tough to hear. I literally remember the dress I was wearing, and like I remember all of it. However, like she introduced me to eating clean, and I did lose the weight for the competition, because she was basically saying, I'm not going to put you in the bikini section looking like that.
Right.
And yeah, it was definitely tough as an 18-year-old to hear. But basically that like kickstarted my entire journey in like fitness and nutrition and that passion. And I went to the week-long competition, and, I didn't win anything, but I made a lot of connections. And that's basically where my acting career started snowballing from. And also my fitness journey. So all right around that like 18, 19 age.
I usually ask if people have influences. Did you though? Because you kind of just like waterfalled into this.
Yeah, like I don't know about any influences as far as like nutrition or like acting and all that goes. But I would say like my parents, like my whole family, I have 2 younger brothers as well, but my parents have always been such a big support system for me, and they've always encouraged me to just to try things and go after opportunities, and they've always like been my backup. So while I didn't really have anyone leading me in these directions, I had them behind me in them. So I would say they're an influence in that sense, where they'd push me to do it if I didn't want to.
Right. Well, so journalism, how did that come about?
So when I was doing these pageants, I realized that, I was like 15, 16 years old, and I was on stage in front of hundreds of people and like talking in a microphone and everything. And it just hit me that like, I enjoy doing that and I'm good at it. And, why not be on TV? So it kind of all like correlates together. And so I ended up going to Penn State. I actually graduated with honors, and, I was a great student and whatever. And then my junior year, I started paying attention to the news and realizing just how absolutely negative it is. And obviously, and even in the last few years, it's spiraled just way worse, than it was even then. And I just kind of decided that like, I didn't want to be, I'm an empath. So like, I really absorb people.
You and I both.
Yeah. So you definitely get where I'm coming from then. So the thought of being immersed in all that negativity and drama of the news all day, every day, I was just like, for my well-being, I just can't do it. I can't be there. And I also like, I can definitely be a little sassy sometimes. So if they told me to say something on the news that like was false or this or that, or I didn't believe in, like, I would be that reporter to be like, right. Well, actually, this is what's really going on. I would have never lasted. But yeah, so that's kind of how it all started. And then, I finished my degree. I looked into changing it, and I didn't want to continue going to school. Like I was just over it. So I
Yeah.
finished, and then I went into acting and modeling full time for say like 2 or 3 years. And then it kind of came to the point where I was like, if I'm going to take this stuff seriously, like I need to move to New York or LA. Like I can't keep doing this. I was commuting to New York sometimes like 3 times a week. And
Woo!
yeah, it was a lot. It was
Woo!
expensive, and it was just like, but at the same time, like I was, being an extra and this and that, and how much money they make. So like living in New York or California didn't really seem like a viable option for me. So I was just like, what do I do? And at the
Well,
time,
there's a trade. It's the opportunity cost of
right, right. But it's like, how do you do that if you can't afford to like live there? So it's kind of
right,
this catch
right.
22.
You can, but you're gonna be on top of 3-4 other people.
In a bad
Everybody's paying $500 a month for a $2,000-$2,500 apartment. You have no,
right?
you're like a rat.
And
So,
even then, like something like $400 or $500 was like something that like didn't seem like I could swing. Whereas like now I look at it and I'm like, come on, you could have figured out a way. But my path wasn't there at the time, so I accept that.
yeah, and it's like and it's funny that you bring that up because I kind of went through the same. You think about a lot of things in quarantine, and it's like, well, yeah, should I have done this or should I have done that? And the headspace at the time.
Right.
Because I'm, and you're probably the same way. We have like, I don't know.
I know, we're very alike.
Did you ever take Myers-Briggs?
No, what's that?
It's like a personality. So
Is that the disc test?
they've got 16 personality types. It's not anything like foolproof. It's just been around for a long time.
I
And
feel like I've heard of it. I don't know if I ever took it, but you should send it to me after this, and I will take it.
I'm gonna guess that you're an ENFJ. Which is a
Okay.
very similar type to mine, either an ENFJ or an ENFP. But I'm gonna go with the J just
Okay.
because of some of
Well,
the things
I'll
that you
take it.
said.
We'll find out.
Yeah, it only takes like 10 or 15 minutes. But no, like you can berate yourself over and over and over again about, oh, I should have done this, should have done that, should have done this, should have done that, and it's like, but it's just how it was at the time.
Right. And you always make the decision that you're supposed to. Like I'm a huge believer in like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, same.
That's what I live by. And it's just like, and then I always look back at certain decisions that were made and things like opportunities I like missed out on, or I didn't make the volleyball team in ninth grade, but it led me to this, this, and this, and this. And
Right.
yeah, it's just, I don't regret any of the decisions I made. Ever. And I just think that like we're on the path that we're supposed to be at, and you got to listen to your gut and where you're at in that time. And looking back, I had my ex-boyfriend I was dating at the time, and he was in car sales. And for whatever reason, I just decided, all right, I'm going to do car sales.
Wow.
And just stop acting and modeling.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just like that. And that's when I moved to Harrisburg to do that. So
Wow.
yeah, so I got into it, and within a few months I was the top salesperson there. Yeah, the last year I only sold cars for 2 years, but the last year I did 200. I sold 200 yeah. Yeah, so I was just like, I loved it, but I was still doing some acting and modeling on the side. And then I kind of given up on it for like, or accepted the fact that like that wasn't my end all be all path. I was like, sales that's like where I was meant to be. And then I got into real estate about a little over a year ago, and then this movie I have coming up dropped in my lap, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna do it all. It's fine. Mix it up.
What side of real estate are you in?
I'm on the investing side of real estate. So
Okay.
I am not a licensed agent. Basically, I work for a company. You ever see those signs that are everywhere that say like, we buy houses cash?
Yeah.
Things like that. So we do that. We don't put the signs up or anything. But basically my job is I'm an acquisitions agent. So I go to different people's homes. Like I go on typically about 3 appointments a day in 6 different counties, and I assess the house for renovations, and I give them a cash offer, and then our company flips it and sells it, and I make commission off of it.
Cool.
Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. I love love being able to help people out of like tough situations. And often that's the type of people I'm working with. And
Yeah.
for whatever reason, they can't list it or don't have the time or money or whatever. And I've been with the company now for a little over a year, and it's been life-changing. Like sales has been life-changing. Like, it's just, like I said, like I don't regret it at all.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. It's cool. Yeah. Like you just kind of have to figure out what fits for you. And do you know who Tony Robbins is?
Yeah.
So he's like my favorite motivational speaker.
Yeah, he's incredible. I saw the Thanksgiving thing that he did. I think that was him.
All that one.
I'll send you the link. He started this thing when he was a kid or when he was a younger person, and he was giving out like turkeys to.
Oh, yes, yeah. When he
That's a crazy story.
Yeah, and it grew to like 100 million families he was able to like feed on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he have you ever been to one of his live events?
No.
Highly suggest it. It's the most empowering, emotionally draining by the end.
Right.
Like it's crazy because like I went 2 years ago. I actually took my mom for Mother's Day. And so like literally like 2 years ago now. And it was just the most phenomenal event I've ever been to. It's called the National Achievers Conference, something like that. And there were like 9 speakers there, and he was like the headliner. And the first half of the day was all financial stuff, and then the second half was all like self-growth and development and like, you know, emotional stuff. And the first half they did a presentation on real estate investing, and I was like, I want to do that.
Wow.
And so I actually created my own LLC at that time, partnered up with another friend of mine, and we were trying to do all the real estate stuff on our own. And then I happened to meet this random old dude at the gym, and he knew this guy, and that guy knew this guy, and now I am where I am there. It's all because of that Tony Robbins event that I went to. So
wow. That's cool.
That guy's insane. He literally spoke for 4 hours straight, didn't like stop to pee or drink any sips of like water or anything, like just 4 hours straight. I was amazed. I was like, this dude, like he's got to train for that.
Yeah, when you're in the zone.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I highly suggest it if you can ever see him live.
For sure. So, well, while we're on this, let's talk about entrepreneurship for a second, because that's obviously really what you are. An entrepreneur to a certain degree. Just your thoughts on it. It's like opening up a can of worms, but
no, I actually appreciate you saying that, because I feel like I have a very entrepreneurship mind, but like I don't have any kind of brands or companies or, you know, anything like that. But I feel like just kind of the way my brain works, like I don't come from a family. I would kind of consider my mom's an attorney, and she does have her own like law firm, but she's like a one-man show. So wow. Yeah, so she does like everything on her own. And but besides that, like there's really no one that I can think of in my family that like has ever been interested. Like they've always kind of like followed the go to school, get a job, you know, have a family, buy a house or whatever like path. Whereas like I've never wanted to work for anyone. Like that's all. I've always wanted to own my time. And I think that's like a big thing about entrepreneurs is having that kind of mindset. Yeah. Whereas like even now, like this job I'm working at now, I love it. I said to my boss the other day, if I have to work for someone, this is the most perfect job I can think of to do that. But, and that's why I think I went into like modeling and acting and all that, like aside from the passion for it, it's just like, I just wanted to like have my own time and like schedule my own life and not be clock in, clock out, like 9 to 5. Like I just, that was never for me. And I knew that. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like eventually I'll have some kind of company, or I don't know. Like there's something out there, like I feel it in me, but I haven't figured it out yet.
It's funny because the older I've gotten, it's just more prevalent how not normal I am.
Yeah, exactly. And like you start to like, I think when you're younger, you were almost scared of it and you're like, what's wrong with me? And as you get older, you're like, no, this is what's right with me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing how much and I was thinking about this also during our quarantine, shutdown time. It's like, I almost feel like, and I took a gap year. I didn't even go to college until like 19.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I just played a bunch of shows with my band. And so after that, but what I thought of was, it's like, man, like still at 19, 20, if I were to go into school now for a bachelor's in my mid-20s, it would have been far different than the path I would have went 5 years ago.
I
And
agree.
that's not taking away having a business degree, but you really
What
don't
do
know
you
who you
think,
are.
like, what if you were into school right now, what do you think you would go for?
Well, and I guess I could speak from a master's standpoint, because I thought about, well, I got into Berkeley. So I got into Berkeley for my master's in music production.
That's
But
impressive.
well, thank you. I deferred though, because I don't know what happened. I just like woke up one day and I was like, what are you doing?
You want to go to school?
No, because I just graduated in May, and then I had all these like pending opportunities that came up, and 40, 50 grand right out, because I came out of school debt free, and it's like, now I'm going to go back to school for 2 years
And take on all this debt.
Yeah. So it was just, I don't know. It didn't. And then just talking with more folks in the industry and my peers, my colleagues, my mentors, it just didn't make sense. It was like, so I just hustled, ended up starting this podcast,
Yeah, which is awesome.
worked some more, and here we are in
Yeah.
quarantine. So
I know, right? It's like, what the hell was the point?
yeah. So it's like, well, no, I mean, it was good, because it just revealed more of, this industry. You can't go to school. You really just can't go to school for it. It's just experience, being there, showing up.
Yeah. And I feel like it's almost like that now with, a lot of industries. Unless you have
Yes.
something where, you're becoming a doctor or a lawyer, or, something where you need that specific degree. I feel like I'm definitely one of those people that I used to believe in college and feel that everyone should go. And now I'm like the complete opposite. I'm like, don't go, don't get yourself in debt unless you need to go. Because I walked out of school with debt and I'm not even using my degree. So it's kind of like frustrating, but at the same time, I would never change it.
So we're back. We're something went awry between the
My
snow
fault. I'll take the blame. I don't know. Were we talking about school?
I don't remember what I was talking about. I think I had to do it. Yeah, school, and maybe. Oh, you know what it was? Like, I
Your
believe
path.
this is what it was. Yeah, and like how you really don't know who you are at 18, 19, 20.
I was asking you what you would go back to school for.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and then I said the master's situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would have did music production, because I don't know, it would have made more sense, but I learned everything I needed to learn on my own.
I feel
So,
yeah, because that's what we're talking about. Because I feel like school experience is so much more sought after than a degree. And I feel
and the work,
yeah,
what can you deliver? Like, what have you done?
right,
That's
exactly.
what's going to get you hired.
And it's like I just don't believe in like going to school just to get a degree, because I've seen that. Can I curse on here?
Yeah, absolutely.
That just like a degree just doesn't mean shit unless like it's something you're gonna use and you have the experience to back it up. I tried to go into broadcasting journalism like when I graduated, and because I didn't have experience, I wasn't getting anywhere with it. Anywhere. It was so frustrating. And I was just like, it's because like I spent all my time on a degree, and I had an internship, but I was like working for a newspaper and writing art. It's actually like fitness and nutrition, like articles I was writing and interviewing like authors and stuff like that. Yeah, usually I'm on the other end of this where I'm interviewing people. But yeah, I just see school and the path you take. It's just, you just gotta like listen to your gut in that moment and believe that like you're gonna make the right decision. I think that's the thing, is like people get paralyzed because they always think they're gonna make the wrong decision. And it's like, there really isn't a wrong decision necessarily. It's either the right decision or like you learn a lesson. And that's kind of the way I see things.
Right. Right. What would you say would be, if you had to narrow it down to a few films, what do you think are your favorites over the years?
Oh boy, like just like my favorite movies.
Yeah. Maybe anything that's really influenced acting for you, or just kind of like anything you've
Um,
lionized.
I wouldn't say any specific film. I'd say that a huge inspiration for me is Johnny Depp.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so like chameleon, just like a straight up chameleon.
Yeah.
And like I've read so much about, he's never actually seen something he's been in.
Really?
Yeah, like he's never watched himself on screen. And I
It's
think that,
probably a good thing.
yeah, that's like crazy. And I don't know if maybe it would like get in his head, but like he's a huge inspiration for me just by seeing like, because you look at, some actors, like if you think of like the Jennifer Anistons, where essentially she just plays the same role
Right.
in, all these different films. Whereas like if you look at like Johnny Depp, like he's at every end of the spectrum and in between. But as in movies, like specifically, I don't really have anything that comes to, what's weird is like, while I've been in this industry for so long, like I'm not very knowledgeable about it. Like, like all my friends on set would be talking about like this film and this director and this actor. And I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about. I'm really like a need to know person. Like I don't, I fill my brain up with so much like information that like, if I don't need to know something, like, I don't need to know it. What's like an inspirational movie for you?
Oh, there's many. I love Marlon Brando.
Mm-hmm.
The early Brando stuff. Somebody else asked me this question this week, and I think I'm saying the exact same thing that I said. I'm trying to think if there's anything like new that I could throw in. I said, yeah, Brando, Stallone. Well, I mean, all the Italian guys. I don't know. It's just
I
like,
could see that though. Like you totally have that. Like you could totally play that like mobster, like Italian guy.
I wish I had some grapes on me. I could do the. You could, come to me.
Yeah, that's perfect. Is that what you do? You put like grapes in to have like the.
I have a pretty big tongue, so it kind of suffices for right now. But
See, you got it. You got it. Where's casting?
I like Tarantino stuff. I like things that really make you think. I know that's very cliche and boring to say, but I like the things that make me go back to movies over and over and over and over again, or just the deliberate choices, or the choice not to do something, like those master shots where there's not a lot of cutting.
Right.
There's a lot of cutting,
Have you seen Gone Girl?
I haven't even heard of it.
No?
No.
That's one that'll make you really think. It's a good film. It's kind of long. It's like 2 hours, I think. But see,
That's
I'm
not
like
that long.
No, it's not. But it's long enough.
Do you like any of Tarantino stuff?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like as far as far as like films go, I'm kind of the opposite. Where like I want to watch TV or a movie to like not think and to like turn my brain off. So
Right.
I'm more of like a comedy rom-com like type of thing. Whereas like
There's
it's too
there's
much.
a lot of good rom-coms out there. Like, I'm just saying,
There are, and
I kind of have a thing for them.
Men like them just as much as women do.
We did, what was the one that we did over here? It was Failure to Launch.
Yeah, that's a cute one.
Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, anything like Vince Vaughn.
Yes,
I'm a huge fan of.
Who's the other guy that he does a lot of films with? Owen Wilson.
Yeah. Like, Wedding Crashers is
Yeah,
classic.
yeah. What's that other one? The internship that they.
That's another good one. Vince
Um,
Vaughn is like up, definitely top 5 for me.
too.
That's a guy where he kind of does play the same role over and over again, but he's so real.
Right.
It's and I'd be curious to see if he. I wonder how that works with when they cast him, because there's going to be certain directors or certain script writers that they don't want the ad libs.
Right.
But I mean, you get Vince Vaughn in your movie, and that's kind of like how I am. And I hate to say that, but I will take your script and I will play around with it, because to me, having everything so black and white,
word for word, like you got to have some flexibility, like in the script, or at least like how you say things and how it comes out like naturally, and like I definitely agree with that.
Well, and like with Saving Private Ryan, for example, I don't know if you ever saw that. It's a pretty brutal movie to get through, but
not my usual speed, but I have seen it.
Right. The opening scene was never really in the script, as far as I remember hearing in an interview or reading in an interview.
Wow.
They just had the budget to sit there and go, okay, we're going to film for like, I don't know, 2 weeks or 2 months, whatever the time frame was. Like, we're going to film and just get footage. And that's literally going to be the first opening scene of the film.
Wow.
And you hear a lot of stories about that, where it's the spontaneity, it's kind of that extemporaneous outlook that really, really brings something together.
It's kind of like the thread that like sews the entire film together, is having that realness in it, and like and like that's the thing too, is like sometimes I do watch films and like my actor mind kind of will like annoy me, because it'll take me out of the actual story, and I will look at things like, oh, why'd they cut that there? That's not, continual, like, you know what I mean? And things like that. And like, I hate when that happens. Like sometimes I'll be watching this and I'm just like, I can just tell they're acting and I can't watch this anymore.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very, very big problem. And and over the years, what I've done, and if my agent sees this, she'll probably chew me out, but there's a lot of things I do. I don't go off book anymore in auditions, because it just turns into this thing where you're going over and over and over again. And 70% of the time I'm sending stuff out that's on the first take. And I just have my angle where the paper is off camera. And I'll look down as infrequently as I need to.
Right.
But I'm getting cast more so because it just has that,
the realness to it.
Yeah. And somebody told me a while back, he's like, I can't remember his name. Just some guy I ran into in New York, just done a lot of cool work. And he said, yeah, you just gotta, once you get an idea, you're done.
Right. And you have to trust yourself, and like, just trust that like, you know what you're doing, and that like, you can't overthink it. You can't overthink acting, or else it's that bad. It just like comes off terribly. And that's actually always something I've kind of thought about myself. And, self-doubt will always like be present, and something that like all of us battle, no matter like what you're doing in life. But I've never really had like professional acting training. Like I went to like that school back when I was like 18 or 19, but like, we did commercials. It wasn't anything like intensive or this or that. Right. I have this big film coming up, this union film. So I'll be joining. Like I've been able to like eligible to join the union for a few years now, but I just haven't joined. And I have to for this film. And it's kind of just like I was saying to my mom a few weeks ago. I'm like, Mom, like I don't deserve like this role. Like because I am one of the leads in it. And I'm like, I haven't gotten like professional training. Like I'm not going to do well. And like, you start kind of like spiraling off the deep end. And she's like, stop. I asked you for a reason.
Yeah.
She's like, there's plenty of people out there that, you can't like look at yourself as any less because you haven't gotten that professional training. She's like, you take direction well and you're easy to work with. And that's why people, hire you. And I'm like, yeah, all right. And that's like a huge thing I feel like is just people just don't have confidence in themselves. And I think that's why people end up living an average life, because they don't see anything better for themselves because they don't believe in themselves. And that's why I think that people in the acting and even the fitness industry, like everyone, and real estate, kind of all platforms I'm in, everyone believes in themselves and like sees like these massive goals and they're scary goals, but like they're willing to go after it. And those are the people that I just love.
Why do you think it's scary?
I think people are just scared of failure. I think that people feel that they don't measure up to maybe, in say in like the acting world. Like if I look at, like I brought up Jennifer Aniston earlier, like I look at her and I'm like, well, that's Jennifer Aniston. Like I could never be that way. And you start like, I'm really big on self-development and
Right.
really like the thoughts become reality.
The thought world.
Yeah. Thoughts become reality and you manifest, what your thoughts are. So if you don't have any other control over your thoughts and if you're constantly thinking or saying negative things about yourself, whether you mean it or not, like your subconscious doesn't know the difference. So your subconscious is taking in this like negativity, and then people wonder why they can't ever find success. It's because you don't believe you can. And that's just what I believe.
Do you have a specific regimen, that meditation perhaps, or is there anything, what's your...
It's funny. I've been trying to get into, it's actually a joke among some of my friends and I, because every single year I'm a big New Year's resolutions person. And I have different categories, and I will choose one goal for the year for each category. Every year for the past 5 years, I'm saying I'm going to do yoga this year. I haven't done it. I haven't done it. You know why? Because have you ever heard the thing like trace your why?
Oh, I do this constantly.
Yeah. And I just I don't have a strong enough why to do it. So I don't. And
is that where I want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Is that where you just kind of keep asking why?
Yeah. Until you get to the root reason. And
when do you know when you get to the root? That's my problem. Cause it's like,
you can't go any further. So let me ask you, why do you work out?
Oh boy.
What's the first thing that comes to your head?
You ever know what it is, but you don't know how to explain it?
Yeah.
All right. So you're gonna have to give me a couple of seconds here. I
love putting people on the spot, by the way.
I like this. Because it's the right thing to do.
Why is it the right thing to do?
It's the right thing to do because your body needs it.
Why do you feel that your body needs it?
Because without it, I'm not the same person.
Why aren't you the same person?
Because I'm weak. I'm a weak little bitch.
Keep going. You could just keep going. When people come to me.
See, that's the thing. I don't know where
I'll give you a real life example. So there was a woman that came to me a few years ago, someone I know personally in my life, and she was obese and had been for a long time. And she's like, I'm at the point now where I want to change my lifestyle. I'm going to lose weight and this and that. And so I took her through the whys, and I'm like, well, why do you want to lose weight? Well, I want to be skinnier. Why? Why do you want to be skinnier? Oh, because then I'll look better. Okay. Why do you want to look better? Because if I look better, then I'll feel better about myself. I'm like, well, why do you care about feeling better about yourself? And she's like, well, if I feel better about myself, I'll be happier. And I'm like, and what will that happiness do for you? Why do you need to be happier? Well, if I'm happier and have that, full capability to move around, then I can play with my kids. And I was like, that's your why. That's your why, because you want to be able to play with your kids. So it's a really fun exercise to play with really any goal that you have. I ask myself all the time, well, why am I doing this? And if your root why is not strong enough, you're not going to do it. So people that say they want to lose weight or, this or that, but they don't know why, they're not going to do it. You got to know your why.
Well, my why 10 years ago is probably different than the why now, which was
Absolutely.
which
And
was
that it should be.
babes.
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe it's still the same. I don't know.
Hey, it could be. It could be like
It could still be that 15-year-old, 16-year-old Jason, in high school.
well, and that's the thing. Like, if your whys or your goals are never changing, then you're not growing or evolving. So, goals should change and reasons should change, or else you're in the same spot as you always have been.
Right.
But to get back to your question, I kind of like went off there.
I don't even remember the question.
Was that you asked me if I had a daily like regimen with like yoga and meditation and stuff like that. And to answer your question, like I really don't, and that's something that I'm working on currently is
right.
Meditating, something that I feel would be really helpful for mental clarity for myself and mental peace. I have a lot of like high anxiety, and I don't like take anything for it, but just in the fact that like I feel like I always like I need to always be going. If I'm not being productive, I'm being a failure. And like I'm trying to pull away from that mindset.
Doesn't it suck being you?
So much.
I say that because I'm like the same person. It's terrible. So last night, literally I'm sitting on this couch over here for 5 minutes, not even. And I was like, I'm just going to sit here. And within 3 minutes, I was up playing the piano, like working on skate. It's impossible. It's just impossible.
It's tough. It's like, brain, turn off. Like, let me chill.
It's ridiculous.
But one thing I do every day is that, have you ever heard of the School of Greatness podcast?
I've heard of it. I don't know it though.
I highly suggest it. He's got like almost 1,000 episodes or something.
Wow.
But he does. It's kind of like the same kind of setup that you do, where he brings people on. But like he's bringing on people like Mother Teresa and like this athlete. And I listened to a Tony Robbins one the other day.
Yeah, he's like Joe Rogan,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he's all about like he used to be an NFL player, and like all this stuff happened or whatever, and now he started this podcast or whatever. But I listen to one every day, and they're pretty long, so sometimes I don't get through like an entire one, but I just pick one that kind of speaks to me that day. I go for a walk every single morning as long as it's not raining out. Which I didn't used to do. I didn't do the walks because I was going to the gym, but then like not being able to go to the gym, I like had to figure out another way to like start my day.
Right.
And wake up, and so that's really the only thing I do is I listen to something in the morning that's empowering and everything like that, and just getting my mindset in the right way, because I don't have a great mindset all the time. And I think that's like a huge thing that people message me on, Instagram all the time. They're like, how do you stay so positive all the time? And like this and that. And I'm like, well, one, I'm not in life to try to like give off negativity. So if I'm feeling in a negative mood, I'm not going to be on Instagram like oh, life sucks and this and that, or crying or whatever it is. And I think that that's a big misconception about people that are more positive, and that people think that you're always like that, when you're like, no, it's something you have to actively work on every single day. And it's not like like happiness and having a peaceful mind isn't a destination. It's something that you literally have to be proactive about every day. And I think that's the biggest issue among people, and like trying to find happiness, is that like they think, oh, once I get this promotion, I'm going to be happy, or once I'm making this money, or do this, or get this car, I'm going to be happy. But like that's just temporary like happiness.
Yeah, there's a lot of great information out there, and tying this into acting and anything where you're playing around with characters and all that. Just being present to the moment. And it's so weird how like we have to have this false reality to bring us to reality. Is that like weird or what?
Kinda, but it makes sense. Like, all actors have like their different methods and whatnot, but I'm sure you probably act in the same kind of way that I do, where I just feel it. And I just feel like, what would this character, like, if I
Yeah.
am this character, like, if this is really happening to me, like, how would I be feeling right now? And just like being like you said, like being in the moment and just like truly being able to like feel that emotion like to your core. And it's great for acting, but in real life it's so annoying sometimes.
There's so much power though in that, like in the present. And it's, did you ever read you ever heard of the book The Power of Now?
Yes, that's on my list of books to read, but I haven't read.
Yeah, Eckhart Tolle. It's pretty powerful, no
It's
pun
good.
intended, but that's horrible. It's really, it'll make you think, and it just kind of drives home that whole standpoint of like, yeah, I mean, you could take it to the extreme of there really is no reason to feel sad. I mean, that's an extreme
Right.
that shows you like how far out he is with it. And it's, yeah, it's amazing. It's really like, it's an inspiring book.
Well, it's kind of like when you hear, like, I don't know who it was, but I was reading an article the other day, 2 weeks ago, and someone murdered someone, like a kid, like a child, and
Yeah.
that child's parent, like, hugged and forgave them in court.
Yeah. That happened like last year, I think.
Yeah, and I was reading it the other day or whatever, and I was just like, that is so powerful and inspiring. And like you think about like the Dalai Lama and like that level of peacefulness and like forgiveness, and it's like someone like me who practices this every day. I'm like, I could never do that. Like I just don't. It's hard. But it's like, yeah, I agree, like being in the moment is so important, and I feel like technology really takes that away from us.
Yeah.
And I feel like quarantine in this weird way, obviously it's an awful thing what's going on right now, and we don't even have to discuss that, but what's been helping me get through it personally is thinking about all the positives that have come out of it. Like
Right.
it feels like the world is just kind of slowed down, and life is slowed down, and you're able to connect with those people around you more. And I think that's really nice to be able to do.
I was going to bring up best and worst on set experiences. You don't have to use any names if you don't want to. But I was just curious.
Okay. So I wouldn't necessarily call this a bad experience, but we can call this a Sarah experience. Like, you know, I'm a very scatterbrained kind of person in the sense that like I get shit done, but like I don't take the easy way there. Like it's just like the whole thing, like going to the wrong state and this and that. Like I just do shit like that, and like I just have to laugh about it. I'm just like, you know what, this is who I am. Like whatever. So this one time, I was actually going to New York to meet with a new agent, and I was going to sign a contract with him. And he was coming from Connecticut, and he was also a photographer. And it was during New York Fashion Week, and this was like 3 or 4 years ago or so. And so he's coming up to photograph New York Fashion Week, and then we were also going to meet ahead of time so we can go over, the contract and whatever of him becoming my agent. So I get to New York, 3.5 hours away, and he's stuck in traffic, and he's this and he's that. Well, 4 hours go by, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go home. Like he's still in Connecticut. Like this isn't gonna happen. So I was like obviously not in a great mood, and went to the bar, like got a few glasses of wine, got some dinner before hopping back on the train. Well, during that time, he made it to New York. So he's like, come meet with me. And at this point, I'm not a big drinker. So I was like, I was feeling it. But I wasn't planning on going to meet like my potential agent for the first time. So he's like, come meet me at wherever he was doing that section of the fashion show. Cause like, I don't know if you know much about New York Fashion Week, but there's like a bunch of locations
Right.
that go on. And So he's like, come meet me here. Like, we'll go over everything. And I'm like, all right. So I go over and I meet with him. You know, he's bringing me through all the girls and the models and the designers and this and that. And like, just trying to get like to a quiet space. And we signed the deal or whatever. And like, I'm like, all right, I'm going home. Like, I made it through without like coming off drunk and whatever. And as I'm walking out, this designer, she grabs my arm and she's like, I want you in my show. And I'm like,
You probably had like the smoke raspy voice, you know.
Blush from the and I'm just like, shit. I'm like, but what am I gonna say? No, I'm not gonna walk in New York Fashion Week. So I was like,
exactly.
Sure, all right. Like again, like that's just kind of how I am. Like if opportunities present itself, I'm just like, all right.
Yeah, you have to.
Sure. So, you know, she's getting me all ready. I didn't have like any of the I have a model bag, like, you know, you have to wear like your nude underwear and this and that so things don't go through. Like I didn't have any heels on me, like I didn't have my makeup, like I didn't have anything. And the outfit they put me in was mesh. It was see-through. It just looked ridiculous. I've got all the girls, like all the other models are like, why don't you have like the right undergarments? Why don't you have heels? Why don't you have this? And I'm like, because I'm drunk and I wasn't in this. And then like as we're getting ready to go out, the one designer looks at me because there's a few different designers there, and she's like, oh, if you wanted anyone to watch this, it's on live television on like this channel. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm walking in New York Fashion Week, I'm drunk, and it's on live TV. But like I did it and it was fine and I didn't fall on my face or anything, but I motored out of there when I was done walking.
That's a great story. That's good. That's good.
So, yeah, not a bad experience.
No, that's good.
Definitely a crazy one.
What's best so far for you, or just like really, really positively memorable?
Oh man. I've done so many different like unique things. I guess one that I'm really proud of, I actually have a film on Amazon Prime right now. And we filmed it a while ago though. Like we filmed it probably 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago. And basically they had another lead actress, and she like, I mean, you know how flaky some people can be, and they already started filming and she backed out. I guess she was going to be in like theater or something like that and didn't have the time to film. So I was working full time. This was before I got into sales, but I was working are you familiar with Philadelphia at all?
I went through there. Well, I've driven through there a lot. I stopped one time. I was on a train. I don't know much about it. I've been downtown like once or twice, and it was just at the train station.
Well, I essentially worked for their transportation system called.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So I worked there, and I worked in their video surveillance room. But
wow.
Anyways, it was a weird thing. It wasn't for me. It was literally, there were no windows. It's like just like a movie where there's just like monitors and TVs everywhere.
How the hell did you get in there?
Well, I was actually going for a modeling gig, and the guy for like this guy's like gun company. And he also had this other company that worked. Yeah, it was weird. So I don't know, whatever. Like I said,
I gotcha. Yeah.
So I'm working there full time, and that's in Philly, which is about 45 minutes from like my parents' house where I was living at the time. And I had filmed another like kind of like a goofy indie movie called Dollface.
I have it written down here.
Do you?
Yeah.
Super, like, just one of those films that just like makes fun of itself, kind of.
Yeah.
And I guess like from there, I started building up my relationships with people in like the acting world in the Philly area. And someone had recommended, heard about this woman dropping out of this role. And they recommended me, and the guy just like brought me on after watching, like I used to have like an active YouTube channel, and he like just watched me on there, and he was like, all right, like let's just try this. And we ended up filming the entire movie. It's like an hour and I don't know, 35 or hour and 40 minutes or something. And we filmed it in 5 days.
Yes.
Yeah, like while I was working full time too.
Nice.
So, like, we're doing like 20 to 25 scenes a day. So I'd be at work, and like my job was.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I was like, I would do my job, right? and I was working 8 hours, but my actual job probably took like 3. So then I'm sitting there and I'm learning all my lines for that day. And then I drive an hour into Jersey and we film from, let's say, like 6 p.m. to like 1, 2, 3 a.m. And then I drive back to Philly, sleep at my friend's house, and get up at, whatever time, go work out. And then I go to work, and then I learn the next day's lines. And yeah, it was insane. And it was the one night, actually, it was like 1 or 2 a.m. and we're filming this scene, and I could not remember my lines. I was so beat.
We've all been there.
Yeah, and
yeah.
I started crying. I was like,
well, I don't know if we all have been there.
Oh, I'm a crier.
That's pretty intense. I've been in a situation like that before where I probably could have totally broke down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I have, and I'm just like, maybe I have, and I'm just like blocking out of my
mind. Like it never happened. But so we finished that film, and it ended up going into an international film festival.
Oh, cool.
Over in, what was it called? Green something in New York. I don't remember. And I ended up getting nominated for Best Lead Actress. I didn't win, but I was nominated.
That's awesome.
And and I was just like, it was just like a very proud moment, because I was like, man, like I wasn't even supposed to be in this role. I did an audition. I was working full time. I don't know how I did it. And like then to be like rewarded, like I didn't even expect to get nominated. So the fact that like I did was just really cool. So, and that's still up on Amazon, but it's weird. Like it's so old, and I feel like my acting skills have improved so much since then. So it's kind of like, it's weird watching yourself on screen.
I saw like a little bit of it on YouTube, and I think Tyrone Magnus was towards the end. It was like some trailer or something.
Yeah, he's my dad in the film, So actually, Tyrone and I have been friends for almost a decade now. I met him at that week-long competition in New York.
Wow.
Yeah, like back when I was starting. So that's how we became connected, and we were friends. And the producer and the writer of Dollface was like obsessed with him, and like, found out that I knew him. And so, yeah, he's my dad in the film. Adopted.
That's hilarious. Yeah, there was one line about Chipotle or something at the end, being a last meal or whatever.
I don't even remember, like that Dollface. Geez, we filmed that probably like 5 years ago, something like that. Yeah. Interesting film.
Well, I thought your acting in it was good. I got a lot of laughs out of that little.
It's funny, yeah. It's kind of like a funny, like, don't base all of my acting skills off of that movie, please.
I think it was it was like a GoFundMe video on YouTube.
Yeah, like a little teaser type thing.
Yeah, and it was only like 2 minutes of the movie.
It's a short. It's only like 30 minutes, I think. But it's definitely funny. I actually liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
That's a fun concept. I'm surprised I didn't try to do like a little mini series with it.
Yeah, well, they talked about a lot of different stuff and doing a sequel and this and that. It's funny because I sometimes I think about it and I feel like I wish I could go back and refilm it, because I feel like I understand acting a lot more now. And I could be more of that character, which I started to pick up more towards the end of the film, but not throughout. So I've always thought about, man, I'd love to refilm that now. But it was what it was. And that was like my first film I ever did. And it's fine.
Those indies are so much fun. Like when you've really got like that good cast and
oh my God. I love all the people, like everyone in that film. Like, we were like a family. It was awesome. It took us a long ass time to film though.
Yeah. Future plans for you as far as what's going on? It's a hard question to answer, but
in these times for sure. As of right now, like I was saying earlier, I have my big union film coming up. I'm not allowed to talk about it too much, which is annoying, but I'm really excited about it. It's about a serial killer.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's based on a true story. So it's a lot of the murders and the killings in it are real. And I'm not like a gory blood like person. Like I'll pass out. Like I just can't deal with that kind of stuff. So even reading the script, I had to take a bunch of breaks. Like I was like, I can't handle this. This is too intense. But there's definitely some Hollywood names that are going to be in it, which is super exciting. And hopefully, fingers crossed, if everything goes on the timeline like it should be, it'll be released in 2021. But it just kind of.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, so it just depends. I just don't know. Like it just depends.
Even like without quarantine, that's that's still pretty quick.
Yeah, like if they're aiming to film now, and we're supposed to be filming right now. Like I would be like wrapping film next week. Which sometimes I think about it and I'm like, damn, like this sucks. But a lot of good changes have happened even since we pushed off filming. So he actually rewrote the entire script. And wow. It took like a month, but like the new script is fire. It's way better. So I have that coming up, hopefully. And then I'm also filming a non-union TV show called The Fashion Hero. And that's kind of been in the works for like 2 years now. It kept getting pushed off. It's filming in South Africa.
Wow.
Which is really cool. Yeah. So basically it'd be the second season of it. And the show is essentially for like models and people that don't fit like the typical mold. So people that have, skin deformities, or maybe they're overweight, or, all missing limbs, like all kinds of stuff. And basically it gives them an opportunity to compete, to be the face of like a big brand. And they've picked a bunch of influencers on social media to coach them. So essentially like I'll get assigned a competitor and I get to coach them through the competition.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about that one. It seems like this point's never going to happen, but we'll see. You know how that is. You get all excited about a project and then it falls through and you're just like, it's annoying.
I wish I had the answers for you. I'm still dealing with it myself. My tour got canceled and rescheduled.
I saw that. That's so frustrating. Where were you supposed to go?
It was all in the Southeast.
Okay.
But it was just really good dates. You know what I mean? Like just really, really good dates, and doing it with, good folks in the blues and rock genres. And it's just like,
are there plans to reschedule, or is it just kind of like flat out?
Well, I mean, yeah, we rescheduled for September and October. But even then, who knows?
That's how I feel too. It's kind of like, yeah, we're pushed off to August and this and that, but.
And I had films. I had something in New Jersey that was pending, and a couple other things going on that, forget about it.
It's definitely frustrating, but I try to keep in mind, like, there's a lot of people that are, worse off. And if that's all that's happening, like, it's okay.
No, it's been great to, like you said, regroup, settle down, and just kind of like steady yourself a little bit. And I mean, this podcast, like, we wouldn't be talking right now if it wasn't for quarantine. Right. I don't think, because this forced me to adapt, because I always said I would never do podcasts through Zoom.
That like weren't in person?
Like never. And here we are.
Here we are.
Well, because it's either that or, okay, just don't film anything for God knows how long.
Right. Like, what if this is like another year?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
doing things. It's definitely sparked a lot of creativity in people, which I think is pretty cool. Like, I'm buying houses over the phone right now.
What's that?
Buying houses over the phone without ever seeing them or seeing pictures, or it's insane.
Yeah.
And I had my best month ever last month. So it's like I broke a company record of how many properties I bought. I bought 16 houses last month.
Wow.
Yeah, without ever seeing them. I'm like, it's cool though. It's forcing, everyone to adapt and learn.
Are they just taking pictures or doing like video walkthroughs then?
Oh, I'm not getting either of those. Yeah, I'm literally like going through questions and having to trust the seller to tell me the truth. And
what, like over the phone?
Yeah. And just like if I called you up, I'd say, hey, how old's your roof? You tell me. And based off your answer, I have to decide whether we're going to replace the roof or not. Oh, what's the condition of this and this and that? And I just run my numbers, and yeah, it's been weird. I like it though.
Did you ever have any like pre-experience with construction and real estate?
Yeah, I mean, it. You ever see those TV shows like the hoarder homes and all that kind of stuff? Like that's pretty much what I deal with the majority of the time.
Wow.
Really, like, and not all of them, but I'd say at least 50% of the houses I walk into are absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
I won't breathe through my nose. Like I'll try to get out of there quickly. There was one
Oh
house.
my God.
Yeah, there was one house where I walked into the basement and there was about 4 inches of water, like covering the entire basement. And woman was sweet as hell. But I said, how long has this water been sitting down there? Because there was just mold.
Oh.
And she was living there.
Oh.
And she said, oh, like 3 or 4 months now. This water has been sitting there. And her floor was corroding so bad that there was this like giant hole, probably like 2 feet around. And if you stepped in it, you would just drop right into the basement. And she had like boards lining up over it to walk over. And we had to have people, when we were doing showings and everything, we had to have people sign waivers before they were allowed to enter the house. So it's pretty insane. Like it's pretty crazy, but it's being able to help people like that out where like she obviously, I mean, that would be a condemned house. Like it's not habitable.
Right.
But it's been cool, and it's been an adaptation. And like I know my coworker went back to in-person appointments yesterday, and I'm just not anywhere near ready to do that. Like I'd rather be sorry. And plus we've proven that we can do it over the phone. So I'm like, why would I drive an hour to an appointment, spend an hour there, drive an hour back when I can get that all done in 15 minutes over the phone?
This may be your new model.
Yeah. They're talking about expanding like nationwide. And I'm like, well, that's awesome, because then I can work with
Why not? It's all phone.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
It's pretty insane. I'm literally buying like $100,000, like spending $100,000 like over the phone without ever looking at it. And it's just so surreal to think about.
It is.
I'm like, you know what? I say to the owner though, I'm like, it's your money and you want me to do this. Okay.
Well, this has been cool. I've got a little fun thing that I like to do at the end, which is I call it the Shootout Section, where I'll say a word that's industry related to the guest, and you just fire a word back, first thing that comes to mind.
Oh gosh, okay.
No right or wrong answers.
Oh God, I'm so nervous.
See, now we're putting you on the spot.
Yeah, you are.
Camera.
Action.
Lights.
Like lights, camera, action?
Yeah, lights.
Blinding.
They can be.
And exciting.
Especially those LEDs.
Oh, yeah, you're walking out. Because I walked in New York Fashion Week this past week, too. Or this past year. And you're out there and you're in front of the press and you can't see anything.
No.
You're like, all these people are staring at you and you cannot see them. Sorry, keep going.
No. Your deviations are welcome. Social media.
Influencer. I think social media is awesome. Like people shit on me all the time for it. And I'm just like, you know what? It has opened up so many opportunities. Like this movie, the guy found me on Instagram.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's my podcast is flourishing because of the Instagram DM.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And I mean, I hate social media. Like I'll freaking tell everybody that I hate it, but I have to use it.
It's a tool.
It's such an essential tool.
Yeah, like you can't at this point, like you can't really have a successful business without it. Like you just can't. And like people find you less credible if you don't have social media.
Yeah, it's just game over.
Yeah.
Comedy.
See, then I think movies.
hold on. Let me make a note real quick. I want to bring this up before we're done. All right. Drama.
Queen. Maybe I'm talking about myself.
Sales.
Oh, the opposite word came to me. So I have inferior in my head, but I really want the opposite word for that. Like superior. Superior. Sales is amazing, and I think that anyone that would get into sales would find success if they can get their mind right. Sales is life-changing.
Interesting.
It'll craft your mind, and sales is the number one thing that's changed my life, I'd say. It's pretty awesome.
Wow. Marketing.
I think of social media.
Yeah. Gym.
Weights that I miss.
Weights was next.
Weights was next. Games.
That's a good one. Cardio.
Not great. I'm not a cardio person.
Unless it's swimming.
I tried to do swimming, really.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big swimmer.
Yeah, so people always tell me that I'm crazy for going to the gym as early as I am. And I'm like, no, those people that are jumping in the cold water at 5 a.m. are way more insane than I am. I'm like, they're the crazy ones, not me.
I always swim when it's in season.
Okay, fair enough. Summertime. Where do you live? South Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, my best friend just moved there actually, like a month ago. Are you a football guy?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I'm not crazy sports fanatic. But
her boyfriend just became, I forget the exact position, defensive coordinator for the Panthers, offensive.
Oh, okay. So they're down in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Charlotte's like 2.5 hours from me.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. It's a nice city. It's really. Have you ever been there?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you'd like it. It's pretty, very clean. Very like. It's honestly got like this Harrisburg vibe, but just bigger and a little bit cleaner.
Gotcha. I was gonna say cleaner, yeah.
Yeah, but like the Harrisburg people, in my opinion, they were very nice people.
Well, that's good, because one time I got gripped up down there. This chick grabbed me by the back of my neck, and I was like, don't hurt me.
What?
Yeah, like it was really scary, I guess.
How did that happen?
So I had been coming back from a wedding, we were going to the Hilton, and there's a bar down there called Aruga's, and it's like my favorite restaurant. Like I love Aruga's. There's a bunch of them in the area. And there was a bunch of girls standing out. It was like 2 a.m. and I'm walking by, and I guess I was rude to them. According to them, I said, "Excuse me," but like not in a nice way, I guess. And she came after me. She grabbed the back of my neck and like pulled me around, and like, yeah. And I'm like, not like that. I'm like, and I was like, I just want to go back to the hotel. Like, please don't hurt me. So I'm glad they don't do that to everyone.
I think it was like the best Dunkin' Donuts in my life. Is like
you came to Harrisburg and you're excited about the Dunkin' Donuts?
Oh, so good. It was so good. It was like 2 blocks from the hotel.
Oh my God.
It was on 2nd. I believe it was 2nd Street.
I know exactly where that Dunkin' Donuts is.
Oh, it's so good.
My house is in Harrisburg, so.
It's so good. That by the way, that restaurant that you're talking about, I actually played a gig there.
At Aruga's.
Yeah, if it's in the first floor of the Hilton, right?
No. It's like probably a block away from there. But okay. I know exactly where you're talking about, though. That's really cool.
Yeah, and then the Federal Tap House was another venue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I wish I'd known you then.
That was back in February.
Wow. When did we originally connect? I don't even remember.
I don't know. I found you through a hashtag.
Good to know.
One point. Yeah, I don't.
Good to know. Those work.
It was like fitness or something.
Yeah, I don't know. All I ever do for hashtags is like I'll like post a picture and like whatever the picture is like relevant to, I literally just Google like if it's fitness, like workout hashtags, and then there's like best hashtags. You just copy and paste.
Yep, that's what I do
Yep.
as well. I just keep them in my notepad though, because sometimes I'm really lazy and I don't want to go to Google, so I just shimmy my finger, copy, and then it's like Instagram's weird though. Like you remember when it first was burgeoning, like 2015, 2016, like I would lose my posts. So like if you would exit out of the app, you'd come
Right.
back in, it would like blow away your post. Sometimes it would fail to upload.
Oh,
And then
I
if you,
still get that all the time with my workout video uploads.
yeah, and then if you upload it and it fails or something goes wrong,
It'll like
then
get
like yeah, then you have to like wait 3 hours because then you get stuck in that weird algorithm where it doesn't show the post. It's like, I know you're like ghosting this post because I posted twice.
right. It's yeah. All
Yeah,
that
it's.
kind of stuff's really frustrating.
Do you screw around with TikTok at all?
No, I don't. And you know like my roommates love that shit. And
You'd probably do really well on there.
really?
I mean, just because the thing is like bait for any female that's fit and
Right.
has that vibe.
Yeah, they love that thing. Honestly, the thing is like you were saying about social media, like I don't want my whole life to be social media, so I'm like,
Yeah.
that's just one more app to add on. It's going to take up more time of my life.
No, so the only reason why I made one was my buddy Seth was like, "You're making a TikTok," and I'm like, "All right, man, whatever." So I make a TikTok, and it was just, I just got burned out. I couldn't handle it for more than 2 weeks. I was like, I still have it. Once in a while, if something crazy happens, like there was a snapping turtle crossing the road, and I snapped the snapping turtle.
That's the snapping turtle. I see what you did there.
It was a big boy.
Yeah.
So it's like my TikTok has nothing to do with my career at all. It's just like stupid shit that I find.
Yeah, right. Just
amusing.
like stuff.
Yeah. Real estate.
Oh God, all I thought of was houses. That's not very creative.
So basic.
Yeah, I know.
So basic.
That's how my mind is when you put me on like a time limit. You ever play those games that are like you have like 3 seconds or 5 seconds, whatever, to answer? Like, I don't know. Like my roommates and I, like we've been playing a lot of games since like getting in quarantine. And there's like one game where like you have like I think it's like 5 seconds to say 3 things in whatever category they give you. And I'm like I just can't do it. I'm like, I don't know. So I it's like have to start closing my eyes, like putting my head down, and then like I just like take all distractions out. Thing.
You ever play Cards Against Humanity?
Yeah, I love that one.
Oh my God. I haven't played that in a while. But yeah, I was at my cousin's house about a year or two ago, just screaming. It's just so good. So good. You play poker?
I used to a lot. I really haven't anymore, but we just picked up a new set, so I'll be getting back into it a little bit.
That's definitely my game. I love it. Journalism.
I think broadcast.
You're so basic.
Writing.
All right, this is the most important one. Pizza.
Oh my God, I just think of pepperoni.
Yes. That is the correct answer.
All right, I thought you said there were no right or wrong answers.
Pizza's the only one.
Okay, fair enough.
You're not one of those pineapple people.
No, see, if I want pizza, so I'm a huge sweets person. That's like my biggest downfall, sugar. And
Sour Patch Kids.
I have literally all of it. All of it. Yeah, if I'm eating pizza, like I don't want something sweet. Like I want something sweet.
Right. You want something salty and disgusting.
Time to break my fast. It's 5 p.m. Oh my God. We've been talking for 2 hours.
Like I've found out that I make a pretty damn good pizza because of quarantine.
Oh Yeah, it's a good time to experiment.
Yeah. I have some, I've got a video of like tossing the pizza and getting really rowdy. I haven't posted it yet. This just reminded me I need to like post that.
I'll hold you to it.
So I have one last question for you that I ask everybody, which is, if you could go back in time to your 15-year-old self, knowing what you know now, what would you tell her as advice, or just?
I would tell her that not everything that goes wrong is the end of the world, and that it all happens for a reason, and that you just have to trust the process and trust life and your path, and just, make the decision that's right for you in the moment, and don't worry if it's the right or wrong decision, because whatever you choose is the right decision.
And you're going to get wrung out by some random chick at Hilton.
Yeah, like no matter what you do, like you're going to get gripped up. So that was scary.
Oh, man. Hilarious. I have your social media handles. Let me double check here. So it's Sarah Weber. Blah, blah.
Everything's pretty much Sarah Weber Fit.
Sarah Weber Fit. I don't know what the hell I was trying to come out of my mouth there.
That's what happens when you talk for 2 hours straight.
Yeah. Sarah Weber Fit. We'll have the handles below in the description box, which is either below on YouTube or to the sides on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart. And you have any last words?
No, I appreciate you having me on here. It's definitely been fun. I've been looking forward to it. I listened to a bunch of your podcasts just to see what was going to happen. I'm like, how is this going to go? And so I appreciate your time, and I look forward to connecting again. You'll send me that quiz thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll take it.
Definitely. I bet 90% sure that you're an ENFJ.
I'll tell you. I'll let you know I'll take it as soon as you send it to me.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to go eat some pizza first, though.
Sounds like a plan. Well, you guys have been watching and listening to the Jason Damico Show. Been hanging with Sarah Weber here, and definitely follow her. Give her a shout out, give her a like, give her a follow, subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.
See ya.
Peace.